also acting as the information manager for the emergency centre. I'm the chief executive. Tony Bond, obviously, he's the spokesperson for this event locally, and we'll provide some water and cold drink for you, and some food that we'll provide for you as well. I think the Prime Minister will be here in about 5 to 10 minutes.
Who will be speaking?
It'll be determined by the Prime Minister, I imagine, but...
Okay, so could we just get the spelling of the names of the people who are speaking? Would that be possible?
Sure. So you've obviously got the Prime Minister and you've got the...
That's fine.
And Tolly.
Yeah.
Tony Bond will be here, and
So Tony Bond, B-O-N-D.
B-O-N-N-E.
And what's his title, sir?
He's the Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Doug Leader will be here as well, L-E-E-D-E-R. He's the
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure. Doug Leader is the chair of the Regional Council. And you'll also, if you want any technical information about the river and the flows, Roger Waugh is the chat to
W-A-R-R.
W-A-U-G-H.
Thank you very much. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Oh, you're right. Do you reckon I need to do this on my phone, Dougal? Or is it going by
I'll do the white balance go.
Okay, I'll do it.
Ask him, but he's a flooding engineer. Oh, here he is.
Flood manager? Brilliant.
What is that? Do you want a water?
No, I see you're available. When is it supposed to kick off?
5 minutes.
Very shortly, 5 to 10 minutes.
Do we need to order off the speakers?
No, and I imagine the Prime Minister, the Mayor will probably introduce.
Yeah.
Prime Minister and Tolly, and then Doug Leader if he chooses to speak.
Brilliant.
Sorry, Doug who? Can you spell his last name for me?
L-E-E-D-E-R.
L-E-E-D-E-R.
He's the chair of the regional council.
David Rieger, Chair of Regional Council. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking. Tell him. Thank you.
What was the official? Was it
Bon, Tolly, and then maybe Doug, apparently.
Oh,
I don't know.
What's that?
what's the
I don't know. Sorry. It doesn't matter even if we did know.
I need water. What's the next one?
Yeah.
I don't know what I phone up there
Well, you're
live using, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get them out.
yeah, you're getting pictures okay.
I was told many years ago not to say mine if it's photographer.
Yes, don't say that. Especially not lying on air. Immigration, apparently.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And then after that, they sort of give some water.
John, let's get to
Did you see this fantastic thing on Facebook yesterday? What's his name? Spicer?
Trump's
Yeah. So there's a video. He said he took the media like he said. Here we go.
Oh, we've already spent all afterwards,
And it was actually coming from
Yeah, it was happening.
Oh, yeah, John Stewart.
well before. Yeah, it was all good. It's funny, isn't it? What to do? What is it? Oh, yeah, you can do tricks. Oh, it was
Well, I did like your Facebook page. But I don't think it's
So, Hillary asking a lot of you to say,
most of it all socks
Oh, hi, nice to meet you. That's what you realised that someone else. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think
You're breaking the corridor straight. Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, you know,
yeah, I think I got it.
yeah. So grab that and just
And we're sorry. I mean, it's a dark side of town, so like, Thank you.
Well, we'll kick it out of
Nice to meet you again.
So just to say that you found the fine.
Most people manage to actually get people that they can just pick them up. Yeah, so a lot of it was sort of just that a holding.
Thank you all for your patience. We're going to have to jam in here in less than 5 minutes, I promise.
Thank you.
We're going live in so
Yeah, thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our emergency centre here in Whakatane. This has been a national disaster for the Edgecombe people, and we're very pleased to have the Prime Minister with us today. So I'm going to pass you straight over to the Prime Minister.
Good, thanks, Tony. So I've come here this morning and visited the town, visited the Fonterra factory, the evacuation centre, and now the management centre here. Look, when you go to the town, you can see there's quite serious consequences there for a significant number of households. The town is empty, the river is still flowing into the town, so the flooding is ongoing. It hasn't stopped yet. And we had a briefing from Fonterra about also a significant number of farmers where their operations have been significantly disrupted. As I went to the evacuation centre, it's clear that the community here has been very supportive, and the large number of people who've had to leave Edgecombe because it's now empty have been able to find accommodation, at least in the short term. But it's pretty clear that some of those people are going to need ongoing support for some time. The people who've had to leave behind their houses and their personal belongings and their pets, I think are going to be keen to find out how and when they can get back. So I understand that there's an operation being set up here to understand who was in what house, who was in which house, so that as it's appropriate, those decisions can be made. But we need to bear in mind that the town is still flooding. There's a lot of water in the lower parts of the town. It's quite deep, and people should not be trying to get back there any faster than the local authorities here indicate as possible. Any questions?
What kind of welfare or assistance package is available to the people here?
Well, look, we'll be working through that. MSD are certainly involved with the team at the moment, but as it's unfolding, then we'll put something together. But it's very clear that we're going to have to support a significant number for quite some time.
Could you just outline what the package is at the moment and whether there will be anything on top of that for the people here in Edgecombe?
There's always kicks in immediately an emergency response payment for people who need to find accommodation. But as we've done in other previous disasters, we have a look at what the needs are. We'll get advice locally, and I've already been in touch with Minister Guy, and he and I will be working on that over the next couple of days.
Was there an estimation of costs so far? Is anyone able to talk about that?
Well, look, we haven't seen any estimates. As I said, the flooding is still ongoing. There's still the risk of potentially the risk of further breaches. There's more people being evacuated as we speak. So it'll take a while, but I think there's going to be significant cost both in the disruption to the farms and the businesses, and just the damage to households. I mean, there's 900 empty households, and some of them, some proportion of them no one will ever go back. So that's a complete loss. So I think there'll be significant damage. It's certainly come home to me coming here to see the scale of the impact.
Was there anything that stood out for you, Prime Minister, on a personal level? Any image that stuck in your mind?
Oh, probably strongest from the evacuation centre here, just seeing people who have whose lives have been completely changed in the last 24 hours. So they left everything behind. they're not sure where they're staying tonight or tomorrow night. They're hearing that the flooding is ongoing and they've got real uncertainty. So that, and I think the other is just the when you stand near where the breach is, seeing the river still running into the town, and as you look across the town, you can see from that point houses where the water is up around the windows, and it's still coming in.
As you keep saying it's still coming in, do we have an estimate on when we can stop that still coming into the town?
Well, the regional council is working at it constantly, and that's the first job that they're trying to do, is to control the floodwaters. So I think the chairman's here, or the flood manager. Roger.
Yeah, good morning everybody. Roger Wolf from the Waipirini Regional Council Flood Manager. Yeah, our initial response is to stop that water going to town. We're currently lowering the outflows from the Matahina Dam where we can put storage into. And we're estimating that we'll be able to get an operation going mid-afternoon to seal up that stop bank.
What needs to happen for you to be able to fix that? Can you just explain to us in layman's terms what you need to do?
We'll be putting construction equipment in and filling the bank back, filling the hole in with material.
How do you react to claims? There was claims made this morning about the Matahina Dam being mismanaged and that it could have been an instigator in terms of what happened, the outflow, etc.?
Well, between us, the Regional Council and Trustpower, we've worked together and we've managed that dam to the optimum level. We've actually reduced the size of the flood that has come down past Edgecombe. So the dam has had a beneficial effect to that community.
How can we prevent this from ever happening again?
It was an over-design event. You build infrastructure and flood systems to a certain design capacity.
Do you like me to change the current Matahina Dam to make sure that you can manage this kind of stuff better in the future?
It'll be about much bigger discussion than just Matahina Dam. It'll be about how we manage the whole river system going forward with sustainability.
Can you describe for us the current state of the stop bank at the moment, just what's happening there? We know that the water's still running through it, but can you just paint a picture for us?
So it was a concrete wall that got pushed out from its foundations. That concrete wall is sitting in the middle of the road, and the road is now acting as the road level as the stop bank. So as soon as the river gets low enough below that road level, the water will stop going into town.
What is the current state with Thornton at the moment? Obviously, we know there was a bit of flooding going up. People evacuated. What's your initial response to what's happening there?
Thornton we secured last night, so we had an operation going and shored up the stop banks out there. So Thornton is a low risk for us.
Has that concrete wall ever been identified as a weakness if there was a large flood to come through?
No, it's been there for decades. It went through the 2004 flood event, so there was no signs to us at all that there was any elevated risk from that wall.
So compared to the 2004 floods, is there any comparison? Is this 2017 worse or?
A much bigger flood event. So this event is about 30% bigger than what we call our 100-year event, so an over-design event.
So I've heard the term it's once every 500 year kind of event. Is that what you would say?
That's yet to be decided exactly what the inflow was. As I say, it's 30% bigger than the 100 years, so that would put it in between probably the 200 to 500 year.
Long term with the future of Edgecombe, I mean, is this township safe to stay where it is?
Once again, that's the question around the flood management, the sustainability of the river and the community going forward.
There are a lot of people who question the management of the dam despite the assurances that have been given. This is the second time in 13 years this has happened. Would you, would the government, would anybody consider an independent inquiry to satisfy people that occurred?
No, probably not the right person to answer that.
I'll let the Prime Minister answer that, but I personally believe that there will be a full investigation because, yes, those accusations are out there and we need to make sure that everything's been done correctly.
Yeah, look, there's bound to be, given the destruction, there's bound to be a range of opinions about, you know, how it was managed. But regardless of those opinions, as the Mayor has said, there needs to be a full understanding of what happened, because this, you know, remains a town that's on a floodplain, well, in a basin on a floodplain actually, and these issues are all pretty well understood in this area because of the long experience of the drainage of the Rangataiki Plains. So yeah, I'm sure there should be a full investigation into the whole thing, but we've got you know, a lot of experience here to do that.
Prime Minister, what's been done to help small isolated towns like Minganui and Tanatua?
We're actually we've got food going into Ruatoki and Ruatahuna today, so we can get into Taniatua by road now, so that's not isolated anymore. But so we're monitoring all those areas, and they're not forgotten, and we're putting the appropriate resources. We're actually working very closely with iwi on that one.
Prime Minister, in terms of the insurance, Whereas obviously going to deal with your big Christchurch, which has also been a big issue, Kaikoura, which has recently happened. So what's to kind of assure people and residents, I guess, locally, that the insurance processes are going to take as long as what's obviously happened in those two recent instances?
Well, look, each time the system's got it more user-friendly, and so you know, people with insurance claims here are going to have the benefit of all the experience, and I think that shows that the earlier the different parties are involved, the better, and the more people know about what the steps are, the better it is for them. Because a lot of the concern you get in this sort of event is just the uncertainty. Even if you know, the support is there, and you know the insurance processes are going to work, people like to know how and when that will happen so that they can, you know, plan around their lives, because it is look, this is a severe disruption for, you know, well, thousands of people.
What about people who don't have insurance? Some farmers I spoke to this morning said that they weren't able to get insurance against floods like this because of the earlier floods that have happened. Will there be any assistance offered for them?
Well, look, that's yet to be determined. In most, you know, in these cases, there's almost always people who aren't insured, and you know, that'll be dealt with down the track. In the first instance, you know, we've got some very direct needs about people knowing whether they can get back in their houses, and if they can't, what their ongoing accommodation needs are going to be. And you know, this includes people who are elderly, young families, people with disabilities. I mean, some people who are going to need quite a lot of support. So, yep, we'll deal with those issues when we get to them.
There was talk of pumping the water out of Edgemont because it's going to take so long to go away by itself. Will you be trying to gather pumps from around the country and resources and bring them there? How will that process work?
Well, your flood manager can tell you about it, but even from my experience coming here, they're very well set up for pumping water because they've been doing it for decades, but he can explain it.
Yeah, so we're getting pumps in from all over the North Island. We'll have an operation going basically as soon as the river stops going into that area, and then pumping it out. So most of the water will need to be pumped out or put out through our canal system, our drainage system.
And how long will that take?
1 to 2 weeks.
What preparations have you also got in place in terms of, obviously the rainfall's receded somewhat? If it was to pick up again, what kind of plans have you got to make sure that you've got a couple of gaps you can sort of plug when you kind of need to?
Yeah, so we'll put a temporary stop bank up into that hole again to reduce the risk again, and of course it's not to the same standard as our assets that were there that were washed away, but it will be filled the hole. So, and of course that'll be on our minds if flood events do come along as well.
So it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks to pump all this water out. When do you think people will be able to get back into the town, back into their homes?
That's probably an answer for the welfare side from the Civil Defence. There'll be some homes that may be able to go into early because they haven't been affected as much, and there'll be some homes that probably won't be able to go back into. So a decision will be made around the community when they can get back there.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
And the Prime Minister, what's your message to those who have been evacuated?
Oh, well, look, I think the first message is for the the local civil defence here and the district council and so on and the agencies to get together as quickly as they can to get themselves in the position that they can provide a stream of information to those people. Now, given they've had less than 24 hours, you know, I'm advised today that system is being set up where they'll be able to provide some sort of information, you know, ideally house by house, but there are 900 homes involved here and people are dispersed all around the community. But I think that information is going to be vital, because bear in mind, a lot of these people left in a state of uncertainty. They haven't actually seen what the town looks like, and a good number of them won't know whether their house has been flooded or not. But getting that information together as quickly as reasonable and getting it to them, I think, is pretty vital to their peace of mind. You know, every bit of certainty that the local system here can provide is going to help those people cope with what is a very difficult situation.
And anything else you want to say in support of them on a personal level?
Oh, just we understand the enormous disruption to their lives. You know, while this is not an event every New Zealander has seen, and it's not quite on the scale of Christchurch earthquake, it's at least as significant as the events in Kaikoura. But for individuals, it's huge. And we understand that, and because of our recent experience, we just want them to know they are fully supported. We will do whatever we can to give them some certainty, and we'll stick with them, because we know that for some of them this is going to be a longer process.
Just a final question for the Mayor. How, if you don't mind, just talking to the microphone, that would be awesome. How are people holding up? They've been pretty tough around here. So what's your feedback that you're getting?
Well, currently they're still holding up very well. We met one of them downstairs just before the Prime Minister arrived, and he was unsure whether his house was flooded, and he actually told us that he had left his wallet on the table. So, you know, he had to just leave that quickly. But at the moment they're in good frame of mind, but we know with any disaster, it's not now, it's the following days, and that's why the council is setting up a whole system to make sure that they are cared for.
So we probably need to go to the last question.
So in terms of the farming point of view, obviously Edgecombe's quite a big farming community, and know what's happening in Kaikoura, obviously the assistance that's gone down there. I've heard stories about, you know, farmers that have had to obviously abandon stock, they've had to try and get people in to obviously cater them out. What's your message to farmers who obviously miss not getting money sort of flowing in at the moment? What's kind of your point of view in terms of that?
Well, we've had the support is swinging into gear now to help them deal with the quite a challenging, difficult situation, and there's been quite a bit of experience with flood events recently. So, you know, we understand the kind of pressures that will be on them. Again, there'll be, you know, a wider group of the suppliers where the company, you know, Fonterra is mounting a big effort of its own to support its farmers. There'll be again a smaller group where there's quite very significant consequences from this, and you know, we'll again be looking to stick with them to help them through it, as we are with the farmers in the Kaikoura district.
Sorry, could we just ask just one more question? Bill, for the last 10 years, New Zealand's been hit quite hard by Mother Nature. How is funding looking? I mean, you've got what's happening here in Edgecombe, but also everything that's happened in Christchurch right across New Zealand. Is funding getting tight, or how is that looking?
Look, we're fortunate that because we've got a growing economy and government books in good order, you know, we can meet the needs that have to be met, and we don't let funding get in the way of providing the support that's needed for the households and the businesses and the farms, you know, to a reasonable extent, to get them back up on their feet. So, you know, New Zealanders have a generous spirit. We're in the position where we can express that generous support of the community, even though this is, you know, a third or fourth significant natural disaster. We've got the capacity to deal with it, and the people affected by it should feel confident about that.
Prime Minister, given that this is climate change is with us and over-design of events of a new normal, is it time to start considering seriously retreat from some of these situations? this council spent millions of dollars trying to resolve the situation in front of Matatara and gave up eventually and want to retreat from there. Should we be considering that for Edgecombe, which is a very low-lying community?
Well, look, that discussion has been underway for some time now, and just yesterday we had a central government, local government forum addressing directly these issues around risk and resilience, and you've got the Minister of Local Government here. And we've committed to work closely with local government, because all these issues are hard. The easy ones have already been dealt with, but these harder long-term risks are difficult to deal with, because you can't just uproot communities and shift them. You can't do those things. So we've got to find some innovative solutions. But the good thing is central and local government are on the same page. There's a much better understanding than there used to be of the long-term risks, including the risks related to all these weather events. So we're on a path to looking for solutions where that's required. We're not sitting around arguing about what the issues are.
Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.